Princeton didn't even make a bucket over the final 3 minutes of the game. That's how many points they were ahead in this game. They outscored Missouri 45-37 in the second half. And Ryan Langborg, who averaged 12 points during the regular season, 22 points in this game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, and Princeton dancing, moving on as they earn their first Sweet 16 appearance in school history. The round began in 1975. It's the first regional semifinal appearance since 1967. The coach then was Rolly Massimino. The coach now, Mitch Henderson, who played for Princeton, was a part of some really good teams back in the 90s, and now leads his 2023 squad to the Sweet 16. This post-game recap presented by Belfour, restoring more than property. And Adam Finkelstein here with me in studio. Adam, Princeton, are you kidding me right now? Into the Sweet 16?
They're doing it all for Coach Carrill. That's the theme. They said they're honoring the late, great Pete Carrill, and they are still marching on. I'll tell you what, this game wasn't that close.
No, it was not close at all. How did Princeton do this to a team that was well coached by Dennis Gates in his first season in Missouri, coming over from Cleveland State? How did they beat Missouri? Because this was the likely draw that Missouri wanted. They didn't want to face Arizona. Turns out they didn't really want to face Princeton.
Yeah, they did it a few different ways. They controlled tempo first and foremost. They took care of the basketball. They shared it really well, and they didn't turn it over. Secondly, on the defensive end, they really limited Missouri. They took them away from easy baskets. They made everything hard. And in that first half, Missouri just really struggled to score. Now, the tempo of the game changed in the second, but Princeton's lead did not. They continued to excel. They extended that lead to double figures. And down the stretch, you kept waiting for Mizzou to make that run, and it never really came, at least not to the extent that we were expecting. And Mitch Henderson and his club are now headed to the Sweet 16. I'll tell you what, I think this is a win for the total Ivy League, because this is a conference that I think doesn't get enough credit. Everybody knows they don't have scholarships. This and that. Revenge of the Nerds was trending the other day after they beat Arizona. Well, I wouldn't be calling them nerds right now, because right now they are headed to the Sweet 16, and they did it in a convincing way.
Pete Carrill, who perfected the Princeton offense. What does this offense look like to you compared to what he perfected back in his day?
All right, so I'm thrilled you asked that question, because here's the thing about Mitch Henderson. He once told me, and this was a long time ago, he said, we run enough Princeton offense so that people don't realize we're not running Princeton offense anymore. And Mitch Henderson is as smart, he's as savvy as any Princeton guy you've ever been around, any coach, because they always have stayed within that coaching tree within the Princeton job. But he's got a killer instinct, and I mean that in the most complimentary possible way, that I think his players have picked up on. Mitch Henderson is a hugely impressive guy, and it's not a secret anymore.
All right, so Princeton moving on here to face the winner of Creighton and Baylor. And you sit here today and you go, okay, maybe the run ends for Princeton, right? Missouri, one of the best defensive teams in the nation, generating turnovers, DeMoy Hodge, a team that you thought probably is overmatched on paper. Creighton and Baylor would overmatch Princeton on paper. The sweet run for Princeton continues. Stylistically, because we just talked about that, who does Princeton want to face in the Sweet 16?
I don't know that Princeton has a preference right now, because if we back this up a few weeks, they've won now 5 huge games in a row. It ended with the regular season finale against Penn, where they earned a share of the Ivy League championship. They hosted the Ivy League conference tournament. After that, they had to win 2 more games to qualify for the NCAA tournament, and then they come out and beat Arizona. Now today they beat Missouri. So I think these guys are playing with so much momentum, so much confidence. They don't know they're not going to be favored in either matchup. They haven't been favored in a couple of weeks, and it hasn't mattered. They just keep winning games.
1% of CBS brackets had Princeton to the Sweet 16.
Anybody you know?
1%. Yeah, my 4-year-old did. He has him going all the way to Final Four. He likes Tigers, so we did a mascot bracket. So
Sounds like a future Ivy Leaguer.
Yeah, well, I'm not paying for Princeton. They're gonna have to help me out with that situation. The only thing that I look at in this matchup, right, is that they were able to figure out a way to beat the bigs of Arizona. Didn't necessarily have to deal with that against Missouri. They would have to deal with that if they're facing Creighton in the next round. This is why March is so awesome, right? Because you get these matchups, and you really don't know really what's going to happen. And sometimes you can kind of see, okay, this team is trending in one way or trending in another way. But then again, you have a team like Arkansas who lost 4 of its last 5 coming into the tournament. They get hot. Now, granted, those were really good teams they lost to. And then you have Princeton, who is having to win every game. Yale was arguably the best team in the Ivy League all season long. And Princeton is representing the league in a big way.
Yeah, Matt Noling for Yale goes down with that injury. And I'll tell you what, that's not uncommon. I remember when UMBC beat Virginia a few years ago, I was calling TV games in the America East. UMBC wasn't even playing well down the stretch of the season. The whole league was shocked that they come in and won that game in the NCAA tournament because they kind of limped their way into it, at least into the conference tournament. So you can get hot, really, really quickly, and Princeton is certainly hot right now.
Princeton headed to Louisville to the Sweet 16 for the first time in school history. Another 15 seed into the Sweet 16 for the 3rd year in a row. Oral Roberts, St. Peter's, and now Princeton out of the Ivy League. And you can watch it all go down on the March Madness Live app, on your phone, on your computer, on your tablet. Look, maybe you got to run out, you're going to run some errands, you're just outside, and you're like, hey, I want to keep up with the game. There you go. Download the March Madness Live app.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.